Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to get our slideshow started. My name is Chris Buckley, and I oversee public outreach for the 405 Improvement Project. I'm going to ask you first to let me know, can everybody see the slideshow? If you can, type a comment in the bottom letting me know that you can see it. Your communication right now is private. It's just to our admins. So Mr. Alan Dale says hello. I'd like to know if folks can see the slideshow, and I should be in the bottom right-hand corner for you. Great, Hillary says yes. Yes, I can see it. Fantastic. All right. We were waiting for a few people to join us. We've got probably about 25 people or so in our meeting right now. I'm going to start our discussion and welcome everybody. Just a reminder that this is being recorded and will be available on our website within about 24 hours or less. So I'm going to get started. Again, good evening. My name is Chris Buckley. I'm part of the I-405 Improvement Project Community Outreach Team. I'd like to thank you for joining me today for this online meeting. I'll be providing an update on the project and giving you some details about upcoming activities along Northgate Road. Usually we hold these meetings on Saturday mornings with donuts and coffee, out at a local park or a local school. In this instance, in response to the current circumstances, we are conducting our neighborhood meetings online. A few things to note, that chat box on the right, please use it to submit your questions. We've set aside some time at the end of the webinar for Q&A, so that's when I'll answer the questions once I'm done with the presentation. We have a couple of polls that we're going to be posting during the course of the meeting and toward the end of the meeting. You can get to those by clicking on the polls button on your screen. Under the files section, you'll see 4 documents. They include our project fact sheet, our bridge map and fast facts, our express lanes FAQ, and our express lanes access map. I'll be talking more about those later, but feel free to download them now. We have other information that you can find at octa.net/405 resources. That's octa.net/405 resources. I'd also like to acknowledge my team members, Nikki, Joey, and Asia, who are working behind the scenes to keep this webinar running smoothly. They'll be managing your questions and communicating with the audience through the sticky message up at the top of the chat box. Finally, as I mentioned, the meeting is being recorded. It'll be available on our project website within the next 24 hours. So if you missed something or you know someone who couldn't join us tonight, head over to octa.net/405 improvement tomorrow, and there'll be a link to the video. It'll be posted on YouTube. Now I'd like to provide you a bit of a project overview, and then we'll move into an update on work at Northgate Road and at Seal Beach Boulevard in the 405. So on this slide, in the map on the left, it shows you the project limits. It runs from SR 73 in Costa Mesa all the way up to the county line where the 605 and the 405 split. It is a 16-mile long project. It is $1.9 billion. As you can see in the image on the right, we are adding 2 lanes in each direction. The lanes in yellow are regular lanes, or what we call general purpose lanes. The lanes in the middle, we are going to be adding 1 additional lane in the middle, combining it with the current HOV lane or carpool lane, and it will be the 405 express lanes. Those are tolled express lanes. I'll talk more about those in a bit. So this project requires replacing 18 bridges that cross over the freeway. And we'll also be widening bridges, widening the freeway in spots where it goes over roadways like Harbor Boulevard and Beach Boulevard. In addition, we're adding a connector between State Route 73 and the 405, and that is going to be a direct connector to the express lanes. There will be interchange improvements throughout the entire corridor. Every interchange is being affected. We'll be improving merge lanes. It'll be easier to get in and out, often on the freeway. There'll be arterial street improvements. So adjacent to the freeway at these interchanges, we'll be making improvements to signal timing and to in a lot of instances where the ramps are reconfigured, instead of having a free lane that merges in with the roadway, say on Brookhurst Avenue. We'll have a signalized intersection there, and the ramp will you'll come to a complete stop and make your turn. That's going to improve for pedestrians and bicyclists, improve the situation for them. Speaking of which, we're adding bike lanes and sidewalks to all of the new bridges. They're being built to the master plan of arterial highways, so maximizing the capacity for those. This is a 6-year design build project. The project started in 2017 with the contractor, a combination of a design and construction contractor, refining the design and in fact finishing the design on all of the bridges, all of the walls, and a lot of utilities in the roadway. In parallel with that, though, we started construction in March of 2018. We expect it to continue through 2023. And meanwhile, we have the design that we're still working on. We're about 95% done. So the benefit of this design build scenario is a little bit more efficiency, cost savings, and that's why we took this approach. As I mentioned earlier, the cost is about $1.9 billion. That's a combination of Measure M funds. That's the half-cent sales tax for transportation improvements that we pay when we go to the grocery store or make a purchase of any kind. In addition, there are federal and state funds, and then we have a federal transportation infrastructure loan that is being used to construct the express lanes, the toll lanes. So these toll lanes are going to be accessible to everyone. A solo driver will be paying to use the toll lanes. 2 or more will be able to use the lanes for free during, I believe, off-peak hours for the first 3.5 years, but they will be paying to use the lanes during peak hours. The 3 or more in a car will use the lanes for free at this time. After 3.5 years, it'll only be 3 or more free in the express lanes. But again, solo drivers and those with 2 in a vehicle can choose to use the lanes, but pay a toll. The anticipated toll is between 50 cents and $10, depending on the time of day. And the time savings, right now, what takes you a half hour in the HOV lanes to go through the project corridor would take about 15 minutes with the express lanes implemented. And what typically takes you an hour in the regular lanes is expected to take a half hour, so traveling that 16-mile corridor. So what you have here is our bridge construction map. Again, this is available as a download. It's a PDF under the Files section that you can find. On one side, it has a list of the bridges that are going to be under construction. We currently have 12 bridges under construction, and we have 1 that's opened, and that's Slater Avenue overcrossing in Fountain Valley. As I mentioned, we have 12 others, and there are several more. This map is coded in 2 ways. It's color-coded to show which bridges start in which year, the construction. And then it also shows which bridges are open during construction and which are completely closed. We have 2 types of approaches we're taking with the bridges. We have 1-stage and 2-stage. A 1-stage bridge is where we take the bridge down completely and rebuild it, and that takes about 12 months or so. A 2-stage bridge is where we keep half of the bridge open, we shift traffic to that half, we demolish and reconstruct one half, move the traffic back over to that new side, and demolish and reconstruct the second half. That type of approach takes approximately 12 months per stage, typically 24 months. In most cases, it is a concurrent effort. I'm sorry, not concurrent. One right after the other, consecutive. That's the word I was looking for. So this slide shows you a little bit of a construction update, what's been happening recently. If anybody's traveling northbound, heading back, and you decide to take the Valley View Street off-ramp, you can see that earlier this year, we had closed that ramp for approximately 34 days, I believe it was. And that ramp was fully reconstructed during that closure time. So if you're taking that off-ramp, you're currently driving on new pavement. The image on the right shows some recent work where we just did overhead sign removal. Because we're widening the freeway, the overhead signs that span either one direction or both directions of the freeway need to be replaced. There's a lot of activity that's happening up and down the freeway. If you travel like I do, obviously it's a little bit more difficult now with coronavirus and the COVID-19, but if you get out and decide to take a drive, and you can see there's a lot of activity. We just finished the Magnolia Street overcrossing, the second half of that bridge we demolished, and we're working on that, rebuilding that now. The first half was completed, so if you could get off of Magnolia and drive on the new half of a bridge, you can drive on Slater, and you'll see that also is a new bridge, as I mentioned earlier. Here's a look ahead for what's coming up for bridge construction. We have the Bolsa Chica Road Bridge that is expected to open to traffic in the mid-year, so in a couple months or so. And then Magnolia has already opened. We'll be shifting work to the second half of those bridges. Later this year, we're looking at the McFadden Avenue overcrossing to be completed, and we're looking for the first half of several bridges, Westminster, Golden West, and Fairview, to be completed, and switching over to the second half for those. In addition, we have some bridge widenings over Harbor, one over Harbor and one over Beach. The one over Harbor is expected to be completed this year as well. So now I want to focus in a little bit more on areas you probably care much more about. Specifically, we're talking about Seal Beach activities that involve Northgate Road and the Seal Beach Boulevard interchange with the 405. There are, generally speaking, two types of activities that are happening along Northgate Road, and 3 or so activities happening along Seal Beach Boulevard. There are some other activities in Seal Beach along Almond Avenue in College Park East. I don't plan to talk about those, but if you're interested, I'm happy to answer questions when we get to the Q&A period. So among the first steps on Northgate Road are utility relocations and sound wall demolition and construction. Let me move quickly to the utility work. The relocations include relocating a Southern California gas line, relocating the Leisure World sewer line. It won't be from within Leisure World though. We're also going to be relocating a communications line from Frontier Communications. And then Edison has power lines that cross the 405 that are going to be relocated. In addition, along Northgate Road, we're replacing 2 sound walls. It's going to look like one wall to most everybody. The first wall is pretty long. It extends along the eastern portion of the road, and the replacement of that wall is going to be coordinated with the sewer line work. So stepping back to the sewer line work, and the Southern California gas line work, these utilities, the expectation is we're going to be tying in a new line for Southern California Gas from Northgate Road at the fire station. It's going to go under Seal Beach Boulevard and to a location adjacent to Perimeter Road by the Naval Weapons Station. There's more work that's going along that Perimeter Road as well. That work is estimated to begin in late April and take about 3 months. This is the gas line work. It is anticipated to be daytime work, although it will be 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on weekdays. That's the current thinking. All of this can adjust, by the way, a little bit. So we'll be providing you with more concrete information. If anything changes, we'll be communicating with you, and I'll talk a little bit more about how we'd like to communicate with you toward the end of the conversation here. The expectation is that this work requires reduced lanes and intermittent closures on Northgate Road. Access to the fire station will always be available. Emergency services will always be able to access Northgate Road. That is the plan. Seal Beach Health and Rehabilitation Center, access to that will be maintained, although of course we're being encouraged during this current pandemic to not visit any of those locations, any locations like the Health and Rehabilitation Center. It's also, the gas line work is also going to require intermittent closures of the southbound 405 on and off ramps. Gas service is expected to continue without interruption. If something changes though, a SoCal gas representative will contact customers. It's important to note, I want to come back to the closure of Northgate Road. Currently Northgate is closed, as you know. The thinking at this time is that Northgate Road itself, the east-west portion of the road, will also be closed for the duration of this work. That's to just make sure we can get in and out of there really as efficiently as possible and try to complete this work as quickly as possible. If we needed to keep it open, that would require flaggers to direct traffic at different times. And we think during this time, given the fact that travel has been reduced as much as 60% on freeways, that we want to be able to take advantage of that and try to be as efficient with our work as possible and speed it up. But again, we will be updating you if anything changes and if we get new information. So I'd like to move to the Leisure World sewer line. This is installing a new line from what is referred to as sort of the knuckle of Northgate Road. That's right at the curve, at the turn there on the easternmost portion of Northgate, where it turns south and goes past the fire station. That sewer line, oh, I'm sorry, that's not as far, it's a little less far east than that. So it's actually going to be a little bit closer to the edge of the rehabilitation center on the west side of that. And then it's going to go under the freeway to a location on Old Ranch Parkway. And this is a pretty big job, this sewer line. It's actually an activity that requires construction style called jack and bore. So they're actually going to be pushing this new sewer line under the freeway using an augering machine and pushing pipe through. Pretty amazing. It's meant to take place 7 a.m. to about 5 p.m. on weekdays. Again, estimated to begin somewhere in mid to late April here for about 3 months. This is another thing where we plan to close Northgate Road, as I mentioned. But again, EMS will have access. The Frontier Communications line, that is the one that is starting at that little road knuckle at Northgate Road and moving south towards Seal Beach Boulevard. Right now, we don't have a start date necessarily on that, but the work needs to be completed by this summer, and it's anticipated to be day work. The power line that Edison, they have to remove a couple of power lines that cross the 405, and it includes removing a couple of power poles on Northgate Road. We don't have a start date just at this point, but it also needs to be completed by the summer, and that work hopefully will take less than a month's time. And that is going to require closing Northgate Road. So now I'd like to move to the sound wall. There's a sound wall on the eastern section that is being replaced. This is part of the project. And there are actually two sound walls. One is a sound wall and one is a retaining wall with a sound wall on top, but they will be connected. And these sound walls need to be removed and replaced as part of the project because we are widening the freeway. We're changing the geometry of the freeway a bit here. In addition, we have to, because we're moving traffic closer to the walls on the freeway side, we need to have a different type of road section constructed that can accommodate that kind of traffic continually driving on it. So it's going to be, the roadway needs to be rebuilt as well there. The estimated time frame beginning this Friday, installation of temporary concrete barriers known as K-rail are going to be installed along the area where the sound wall is intended to be demolished. You'll all be receiving in the mail here in the next few days a flyer giving you more details about that work. This K-rail, this temporary concrete barrier, will have a safety fence installed on top of it, and then sound blankets placed on the safety fence and tied to it. So that is meant to help mitigate some of the sound from the freeway. It will be noisier though, unfortunately, but that is the solution that we have in place to manage while the wall is being constructed. Right now, demolition of the wall is set for April 20th to May 1st on weekdays. The plan is that demolition work will take place during the day from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. However, the night shift will be used for loading out material. They can't demolish and load out at the same time, so they have to load out at night. That loading out requires nighttime lane closures. And so that work should be happening, I believe, actually, I don't know, we'll have to find out. It may or may not be happening from the Northgate side. Hopefully it's happening from the freeway side, behind closed lanes. And then that would lessen the noise for folks. I believe that's the case since the K-rail will be in place. The second wall, work on that has not been scheduled. It's a small length, a few hundred feet. Again, that's a retaining wall with a sound wall on top. The sound walls the replacement walls will be the same height or higher than the existing wall, so 16 feet or higher. The walls aren't coming a lot closer. The closest they're actually coming to Northgate Road is approximately, I think the largest move toward Leisure World is about 1.5 feet. So they're not really changing much in terms of location. I'm just going to check in on the chat to make sure everything's going okay. Looks good. So Seal Beach Boulevard, I want to talk a little bit about the interchange there and Old Ranch Parkway. So all of the ramps at Seal Beach Boulevard and the Old Ranch Parkway on-ramp to the westbound 22 will all be reconfigured as part of this project. In addition, the Seal Beach Boulevard Bridge, which was just completed about 2015, about 5 years ago now, as part of the West County Connectors project. We're not making any changes to that except to retrofit it with monuments. So there'll be monuments on the bridge. Let me get to that. Actually, you can see those monument designs on the slideshow there. On the left is the interior design, and on the right is the exterior design. So that's what the monuments will look like. Stepping back to the ramp reconfigurations, each of those takes about a month at a time, and that's because we closed the ramp for an entire month. We did that with the Valley View Bolsa Chica off ramp. So if anybody came north at that time, you noticed that you had to instead go up to Seal Beach and turn around or something like that, depending on where your destination was. In the case of the Seal Beach Boulevard off ramp from northbound 405, that's anticipated to close sometime in mid-May. That will be the first ramp that does close for 30 days. Right now, we're looking at mid-May. We don't have exact timing. Again, you will receive notification, and we'll talk about the different ways that'll come shortly. That it will be a 30-day closure, and there will be a well-established detour for you. And then each of the other ramps will require about a 30-day closure as well. Those haven't been scheduled yet. In addition to just reconfiguring the ramp, there also is drainage and utility work that occurs. So you may see some work going on right now on the Seal Beach Boulevard off-ramp off to the right. You can see we've removed some landscaping, some utility work is going on, drainage is being installed, and we're trying to make sure we do that in preparation for the full ramp closure where it ends up being fully reconstructed. The monuments, I'll talk a little bit about those. So the Seal Beach Boulevard Bridge will be retrofitted with these monuments. There'll be 2 interior and 2 exterior monuments with the city logo and artwork that's representative of the city. That work has not yet been scheduled. And then we'll have the interchange will be landscaped at the end of the project. So we'll put some new landscaping in and address the fact that we've taken out landscaping. So that's it in terms of the work activities. I'd like to talk a little bit now about our communication strategies. We really like to be face-to-face. We really like doing our neighborhood meetings, getting out, talking to the public, meeting with people, going out to businesses, meeting with schools, going to community colleges and letting people know what's going on. That is our bread and butter. Unfortunately, during this time, we can't do that. So we figure this is the next best thing in terms of these sort of virtual meetings. I'm here, I can't see you guys, but I can take your questions, and we still have an opportunity to connect with our members of the public and give them good information about the project. We also typically will canvass flyers. At Leisure World, we used the Leisure World Weekly to insert notification about this particular meeting. And we hope that's an effective tool. We'll be using that in the future. But the other thing, as I mentioned, is we're mailing flyers, and we'll be mailing postcards to notify you of upcoming construction activities. But what would be really good is if we could get you to sign up for our automated call or automated text and emails if you don't already get them. What we'd like to do is create a database of just Leisure World folks that we can let you know and we can notify you, because the people in Costa Mesa don't really care about what's happening on Northgate Road. And frankly, the people in Leisure World probably don't really care what's happening on Fairview. So what would benefit us tremendously is if we can encourage you to go to our website, sign up, include your address so we know where that we're talking to folks from Leisure World, and we'll build a specific database for that. In addition, we use social media. So you'll see us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. So if you have a Facebook account and you're out there using social media, we will be targeting Leisure World with an ad that requests that you sign up specifically for Leisure World Communications, Northgate Road Communications, Seal Beach Communications, and we hope to reach you that way. This allows us to customize our approach, which really is important for us because we're working with 7 communities across the corridor in terms of cities, and within those cities, so many smaller neighborhood groups, and it helps if we can target the information. We will continue to work with the folks at the Leisure World Weekly and at the Seal Beach Sun to convey information to them. We provided them information about this upcoming activities, these construction activities that are coming up, and we're hoping that they will run a story on those this week or in the coming weeks. So that's another way we'll continue to communicate with you, and we will continue to use inserts as a way to get to you. We also have some really cool tools. If you are into using your smartphone, we've got a mobile app. So if you went to the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, you look for 405 Improvement and you can find our app. It's a terrific tool. You can see time-lapse videos. You can get information about the project. You can connect to our other really excellent tool, which is an interactive map. Our interactive map includes construction activities that might lead to closures. It shows you the closures and it shows you the detours. And these detours are key. They are approved by the city. They're part of the traffic control plans that the city approves for all of the activities. And these detours, therefore, don't send people onto residential streets. It's a little bit different, of course, for Leisure World because you have the gates. So we're not going to be sending construction traffic through your streets, generally speaking. There may be a need at times for a utility company to access from a particular gate. But generally, we're not sending regular traffic onto Leisure World streets, of course. But nonetheless, if you need to know, hey, is Bolsa Chica open? Or hey, if Seal Beach is closed, how do I get around? That interactive map is a terrific tool. We also have a PDF of all those closures on our website. So if you'd prefer to download a PDF, print it out, and take a look at it and scan it, we have that for you as well. That's on the construction tab of our project website, which again is octa.net/405 improvement. Last but not least, we have our project helpline, and I'm going to move to the communications, contact information for the project. We have our project helpline at 888-400-8994. On the fact sheet, you will see that we have 2 other project lines, one for actually, I'm sorry, we have the same one for English and Spanish, and then we have one for Vietnamese as well. We can translate into any other language as necessary, of course, as well. So you can email us at 405project@octa.net and email in whatever language you prefer, and we have a support staff that will help us translate and provide you an answer back in your language. I mentioned the interactive map, octa.net/405 map. I've mentioned our website and the mobile apps and where we are on social media. So check us out there. I'm happy to, at this point, turn the conversation over to Q&A. The team has been gathering questions, so I'm going to start taking them one by one. The way I'm going to be doing this is the question's going to show up for me. I don't know if it shows up for you, but I'm going to repeat it anyway, and then let you know what the answer is. And we'll just work through them until we're finished. We can take as long as you need. And again, as I mentioned, this is being recorded, so you can look for it on our website tomorrow. I'm going to start with Patty's question about Northgate Road. Will Northgate Road be closed permanently? The answer to that is no. It's only temporary. Right now, I believe the Golden Rain Foundation has chosen to close Northgate, the actual Northgate. The road itself is currently open, but we do plan to close it temporarily to finish this construction work. Right now, we're looking at about 6 months worth of work. I do not know that the temporary closure will last that long. A lot of the sound wall work is the work that will take place. That's going to take the longest. That won't require a road closure ultimately. When we're doing the demo, yes, we want to be safe and keep the road closed. And we're doing the utility relocations, we want to be safe and keep the road closed. But all of that work should be done by summer. And then after that, we'll go from there. Next one. So Jacob asks, is the planned work going to be loud, especially the night work? So a couple of things. The Golden Rain Foundation and the City of Seal Beach have been working really closely to ensure the best possible construction environment for Leisure World residents. So we're trying to make sure as much of the work as possible is done during the day. There may be some nighttime activities. As I mentioned, the load out of materials from the demolition of the sound wall will be night work. Will have to be done at night. The demolition itself, though, is planned for daytime work. The utility relocations, all of that is planned for daytime work. I think, let me take a look at my notes here. As I mentioned, the latest activity I've seen on here is the Southern California gas line. And I believe the plans at this point suggest that it will go until 8 p.m. at the latest on weekdays. I will say that we are looking at opportunities to utilize all of the daytime hours. So there may be Saturday work as well. There may be some weekend work to try to make use of this and to really get out of your hair as quickly as possible. That's very important to us. Joanne asks, how are people going to be charged for using these HOV lanes? Will they have to buy a tracker similar to the fast track system on the 91 freeway? Excellent question. And Joanne, the answer to that question is yes. This will use fast track. Right now, ultimately, the state is dictating that you should be able to use that fast track transponder across any toll road or toll lanes throughout the state. We will be using that same technology. There will be gantries, these sort of large gantries that go over the freeway at various locations where you enter and exit, at appropriate spots. By the way, you can see that information in the 405 Express Lanes access map, which is under the files section there. There will be various intermittent entries and exit points throughout the express lanes. And then those gantries will be used to collect tolls, basically, same as if you're on the 91. Different from the 91, though, is that we will have these intermediate access points. So you won't be stuck going all the way from, say, Seal Beach to Costa Mesa and unable to get out. There are two access points in each direction where you'll be able to exit appropriately to get off where you need to, say in Huntington Beach or Fountain Valley or Costa Mesa. Looking for a new question. Diego Garcia says, approximately how tall are the sound walls and about how many residences do the sound wall benefit? I can answer the first half of the question. The second half of the question is answerable. That information actually is in the environmental report, so you can take a look at that. We can tell you the location, the start and end location of the sound walls, and we can certainly take a look at the number of residences that are benefiting from that sound wall, if you will. But the sound wall is going to be the same size or higher than it is now, and that's 16 feet. Rich asks, is Northgate Road going to be shut down? Similar to a question we had earlier. No, Northgate Road is not going to be shut down permanently, but temporarily, yes. The plan is to temporarily close the road while North Gate is closed, while we're in the middle of this particular coronavirus pandemic. The contractor is using best practices per the county health department, per WHO, and per the state requirements. And they are continuing to work very diligently. They are working to complete the project as quickly and gain some time here. So we will be closing the road temporarily to conduct these activities. Allendale says, will the new sound wall being built between Leisure World and the 405 be better than what is there now? The noise pollution is really bad now. It needs to be much better. So the sound walls are constructed to current standards, to the current Caltrans standards. I don't know when that original wall was constructed, but I can say that I'm certain the standards have adjusted. So it will be a solid foundation. There will be a roadway, a barrier, about a 3 foot tall, 2.5 to 3 foot tall concrete barrier at the base of it, and then the sound wall will be built on top of that. In the case of that's the long stretch of wall that is more toward the western section of the east-west portion of Northgate Road. The other section, the smaller section of sound wall, is actually a retaining wall with a sound wall that's built on top of that. That basically will be, that retaining wall is to support the widened freeway in that location, the transition between the 605 and the 405. And that'll have a sound wall on top of it. You can look at the environmental document and we can make that available for you if you'd like, but that environmental document outlines the existing dBA level of the noise that is produced by traffic in that location now, and then it models and looks at what the noise level will be once the new wall is in place. But I would anticipate that it would show a little bit of reduction in the decibels. That's the best information I have at this time. But again, that's an environmental document piece of information that you can find. Mr. Dale again asks, will the bike path going the opposite direction of Northgate Road between Leisure World and the 405 from the North Gate remain? Will it be open during construction? When we close Northgate Road temporarily to all traffic, that means bike and pedestrian traffic as well. So no, that road will not be open during construction. That path will not be open during construction. I do believe that the plan is to restore the bike path once work is completed. There are no plans to take that away at this time, so that this is the marked bike lane. Question again from Mr. Dale: do Leisure World residents get discounts to use the express lanes, like an annual pass? The policy is going to be the same as what is on the 91 express lanes. I believe there are for veterans and disabled, there are reduced fees, reduced tolls to use the lanes, but no, Leisure World residents in particular aren't getting as a community is not getting reduced toll cost. Patty, so it will cost me, worst case, $20 a day to commute to Orange County Airport daily. Yes, that sounds right. If you're going at the peak time in both times. So, and peak hours are defined. I'll have to look that up. Actually, I think it might be in the express lanes FAQ. So you may take a look there. But if you were to travel south at peak time in the morning and north peak time at night, yes, worst case it would be. Patty also asks, will there be access to the river bike path to Seal Beach? That's a question I don't have the answer for, so our team will take that down and we'll be happy to get back to you, give you information. Sorry about that. Edith says, will the sewer line be closed at any time? Your sewer service will not be impacted. No, it has to be, there has to be, I can't remember the word, I apologize for that, but it has to be rerouted. There's going to be something else in place while we're working on the existing sewer line. A bypass, that's the word I was looking for. Carolyn Smith says, how long will the sound wall be ineffective? So I think the question is, how long will the sound wall be down? We've noticed the replacement work takes, in some places it's taking a little longer than others, because when they start to construct the foundation, in some cases they use something called a CIDH pile. That's a foundation of concrete piles that are created when you auger a very large hole into the ground, drop in a metal cage, a reinforcement bar cage, and then pour concrete into that. Well, sometimes what they run into is the groundwater table when they have these CIDH pile walls, CIDH foundation walls. So that may delay something. But in general, we're looking at about 6 months for the wall to be constructed. Hillary asks, will the current access to the bike path remain by Northgate entrance to Leisure World? In the final condition, yes. In the permanent condition, it should be maintained, whatever is there now. But to be certain, we'd like to take that question. We'll capture it. We'll get your email address, and we will get back to you. And all these questions, by the way, we'll probably put together in an FAQ, and we'll look for a way to get them answered to everybody, so that not only one person is just getting the answers. So Patricia says, how long did you say Seal Beach Boulevard will be closed? There are no plans at this time to close Seal Beach Boulevard. Lanes may need to be reduced in the case of the work that's happening, that's going to be happening at Seal Beach Boulevard for the off-ramp. We're also doing some work at Seal Beach and Lamson. Lanes will be reduced. And that might be in place temporarily for a number of days or weeks. I don't have information specific to that, but we're not fully closing Seal Beach Boulevard. Not like when we had the West County Connectors project and we needed to close one half of it and shift traffic over. So there'll just be the ramps that will be closed. Those ramps are expected to close for 30 days at a time. The first one that's going to close is anticipated to be the Seal Beach Boulevard off-ramp from northbound 405. That's expected to be in sometime middle of May, although that date has been moving a little bit because of some conflicts with some utilities. So all of these things, you get in there, you figure out what it looks like in the field, and then you work around those. And sometimes that changes the pace of things a bit. Janet Weston says, will the sound barrier have any decorative feature, or will it just be a solid concrete wall? So each of the sound walls does have aesthetics as part of an aesthetics plan. I don't have information for this particular sound wall. I believe it is likely to be split face rock and just plain. It'll be the block wall, right? I believe it's going to look like that from the Leisure World side. From the freeway side, it likely is going to have a sort of wave pattern weaved into it through the use of different colored and different shaped split face blocks. Rich asks, are the freeway lanes being placed closer to the sound walls? The answer to that question is yes, the freeway lanes are moving closer to the sound walls. As part of the project, we're widening through the area, and so that's what you're seeing, yes. Richard asks, is the 22 freeway eastbound access to the 405 going to be affected or involved in this? So this is the 22 east access to the 405. The work, that area is within the project work zone. Now there is some activity on the 22 freeway near the merge to the 405. That activity is for overhead signs. And in fact, they've already done the demolition of the median barrier in those locations, and they're going to be working on installing the new foundations for these overhead signs and the new barriers. Going southbound on the 405, there is work that's going to occur for the widening of the freeway throughout that area, and then the Bolsa Chica off-ramp, the southbound off-ramp to Bolsa Chica Road, that's going to be changing. Right now, if you take that off ramp, many of you may know, you take it and it is a sort of free right, if you will, and it merges with Bolsa Chica Road. That is going to change, and it will become a signalized intersection that ramp will come off to. So that ramp is being realigned. There will be a new on-ramp from there as well, a loop on-ramp to the southbound 405. So if you live in the part of Leisure World, then it makes sense for you to take Westminster Boulevard to Bolsa Chica instead of taking Seal Beach Boulevard up to the freeway. You'll be able to take Westminster, turn north on Bolsa Chica Road, and access the southbound 405 from there. So that is a benefit. I don't see any more questions. I'd love to hear from you guys about how this is working. We have a poll that we'll put up. One of the team members can put the poll up. We'd love to know how this is working for you. We will also have a poll in place that asks you how you heard about this. You know, if you like this, if it's beneficial for you. You know, just we really want to get feedback on this type of communication. I kind of like this meeting. I do miss my Saturday morning neighborhood meetings where we have donuts and coffee. I love donuts. I love coffee. My team can attest to that. But this is sort of the next best thing for us during these kinds of times. So if this is working for you, it'd be tremendous to hear back from you on that. So Joanne says, thank you for taking the time to inform us. Definitely will download the mobile app. Joanne, we thank you very much for that. That's super important. It is a terrific tool to use. I wish we had little prize giveaways we could give for folks who download the app. Unfortunately, we can't, but you get the benefit of project information and time-lapse videos of some of the construction going on and all of our collateral. So it's a really great tool. Alan Dale asks, when can you get back to us regarding the bike path that goes to the river? I hope they keep it. I think we should be able to have that information for you within a week's time, and we can email this group of folks who have signed up. We're happy to do that. We'll also be sharing that information with the folks at Leisure World Weekly, since it sounds like a good question. We will mention to them that we got that question and ask them if they can include it in any story they might have this week or upcoming. Hillary says, thank you for this webinar. Saw the flyer in our building. That's terrific. One of the things that I happen to know about Leisure World is that you all have mutuals that you belong to. I would encourage you to reach out to your mutual administration, anybody who is involved in that, and encourage them to contact us. We're happy to provide specific information by mutual, if that makes sense for folks. Anything, any way to make sure that you're getting the information you need about the project. Carolyn Smith says the environmental report is where? So the environmental report usually is maintained on the Caltrans website. So while OCTA is the owner of this project, Caltrans oversaw the environmental phase of the project, which ended in 2015. They keep the environmental document. We do have a copy of it. I would encourage you to visit the Caltrans website. I was there yesterday, and I did see that they don't have a link to the document, but they have a contact information, and you can contact their public information office and request the document. It is extremely large, so it would have to be provided through either a cloud service like Dropbox, or they might have to put it on a series of thumb drives and figure out a way to get it to you that way. If there's a particular section you're interested in, you could let them know. Environmental documents are set up in a very sort of clearly delineated way. You could ask them for the chapters, a PDF of what the chapters are. The first 2 chapters are often pretty good to read. And then from there, you can ask for additional information. If there's something specific and you're not getting the feedback you'd like from Caltrans, please reach out to us at 405project@octa.net, and we'd be happy to facilitate the connection with them and help you get what you need. Deb says, very informative and very well done. Thanks for doing this. Stay safe and healthy, and go wash your hands. I completely agree. I have 3 kids. My daughters are twin girls. They're 15, and I nag on them constantly to wash those hands. My son's 10, the same thing. I have chapped hands from washing them so much. So yes, I agree. Please do wash your hands. Please stay safe. Please keep at least 6 feet away from folks, and we'll get through to the other side of this coronavirus pandemic. Linda says, will we be able to use Seal Beach Boulevard to access the freeway when this project is complete? Absolutely. You absolutely will. Right now, you may notice that when you get on at Seal Beach Boulevard to go south, we've reduced it down to 1 lane. It used to be 2 lanes up to the meter, and then reduced to 1 lane, merged to 1 lane, with the metered entrance. That will be restored. We will leave the ramps in better shape than we found them, we promise you. Patricia mentions that she got the notice in the Leisure World paper. I will mention that I am a former Orange County Register reporter. I worked there for 2 decades. My first beat was Seal Beach and Huntington Beach, and I absolutely loved covering those beach communities. And I've always talked about how involved the Leisure World community is in what's going on, and I got some terrific story ideas and terrific questions from folks to go pursue out of that community. So I have a fond place in my heart for you guys. Camille says, thank you again. We are learning about virtual meetings also. Yes, I think we all are. This is only my 2nd virtual meeting in terms of meeting with the communities. And it's been a great experience. I really enjoy it. It is a little odd talking to yourself, kind of. So I'm really glad people are asking me questions. It makes me happy. It makes me feel like I'm not alone. Edith says it would be great if the EIR was provided to Randy A. at administration, only the part impacting Leisure World. That's interesting. I wonder if that's possible to do. I would recommend contacting Caltrans and asking if they might provide a hard copy that could be sent to Leisure World, that could be mailed to Leisure World. Again, this is a massive document. We're talking about a couple of stacks of documents. There are appendices, numerous. This was a very, very large project to do the environmental analysis on. There is a supplementary analysis that was done, so that would need to be provided too. These are, but these are possibilities, and you could certainly contact the PIO at Caltrans and ask that question. And that's easily accessible on their website. Just search for Caltrans District 12. That's District 12 covers Orange County. And look under environmental, and then search for the 405 project. Jean says, please make finding the webinar easier. That's a great point. We'd love to hear more from you. If you could email us at 405project@octa.net and let us know what was difficult about it, we would be happy to. We're always looking for opportunities to improve our communications with the public. So anything, any guidance you can give us, we'd appreciate it. Hillary says, thank you for this webinar. Saw the flyer in our building, so that's great. Mr. Dale asks, will there be trees and landscaping for the on and off ramps? We will need to take a look at the landscaping plans. We have members of our team, the construction team that oversee that. We can check with them. So we will take your email address and get back to you on that one. I want to say yes, but I do not know for sure. Rich says, please restore 2-lane access to all on-ramps to the freeway. In the final condition and the permanent condition, they will be restored, will be that way. And I think we're actually improving a couple of the ramps by adding some capacity to them. That is another question, in fact, that we ought to take with us. So we'll capture your statement there. We'll look into the configuration for the ramps, and we'll reply back and let you know what's happening with those. Jean says easier to find on the website. Gotcha. Will do. Will do. While we're waiting for more questions, if anybody has anything else, I'm going to mention that it's always terrific if you go to our website. You can see we have many, many projects ongoing in Orange County. In addition to the 405 project, We have a project in South Orange County. If you travel south towards San Clemente or San Diego, there is a widening project between SR 73 and El Toro Road. You can get up-to-date information and sign up for project alerts by going to our website and looking for that project. That is adding one general purpose lane in each direction between, again, the State Route 73 connector to I-5 and El Toro Road. We have another project in Central Orange County that is ongoing. That is on I-5 between SR 55 and SR 57. And that is to add a second carpool lane in each direction. And if you've ever taken that route and say, for example, gone north on the 5 in the carpool lane and the 55 carpool lane, they merge together going northbound. Same coming southbound when it's the 57 carpool lane and the 5 carpool lane. So we're eliminating that congestion and that bottleneck by adding a lane in each direction between those two choke points. So that'll help. We have several other projects that are coming up as well. But Janet Weston says, it would be nice to have some plants or something to soften the wall on the Leisure World side. It's a great question. I do not know what the planting plans are. I believe if there was existing landscaping, and I think there is a little bit of landscaping there right now, that it is supposed to be replaced. I do not have that information though, so I can't verify that. So we'll take that question back and also get it answered and get back to you. Mr. Dale says, regarding the bike path to the river, it will need landscaping and trees as well, if possible. I don't know if that was within the scope of the project, the bike path to the river. So I'll have to learn more about that, and then we can let you know whether or not it is going to receive landscaping as part of the project. Any more questions? Again, I would just like to mention that as I asked in the beginning, if you could please sign up for our automated call alerts and let us know where you're from, so we know we're calling you about the things you care about in Seal Beach, right? Sign up for our text alerts if you prefer texts. Our text alerts, generally speaking, though, direct you to a link with our construction alert, but we can set it up and have text alerts are a little bit restricted in terms of the number of characters, so we can't give you a ton of information, but we can direct you appropriately to a given location on our website where we might have more information. But the automated call alerts are a terrific tool. Please sign up for our regular weekly alerts. These construction alerts, these email alerts, we send out typically on Wednesdays in the latter half of the day. It's by that time that we have a very good picture of the activities that are planned for the rest of that week and part of the following week. So it's really good to have you sign up for those. Linda says, do you know if the Golden Rain Foundation will reopen the North Gate? I don't have information about that. That's a question I would direct to GRF. I do believe it's only closed temporarily though. So I do believe the plan is to open it, but not being a member of the foundation or privy to that information, I would recommend you speak to that. Any more questions? I do appreciate you all taking the time. I hope this was a good time of day to have the meeting. I wanted to get it done before everybody was maybe heading for dinner. We'd love your feedback. Email us at 405project@octa.net. Let us know what you think. Obviously, we have our polls. I think we may have closed those out, but if not, take a look at those. But you can email us or call us anytime and let us know how you think we're doing or what we could do better. Again, we're always looking for ways to improve. So with that, I'd like to say thank you. Again, this is being recorded. It'll be up on YouTube. We'll have a link to it from our project webpage at 405.octa.net/405 project. We'll have that link up within the next 24 hours. So thanks very much, and I hope you all have a great evening. Look for more communications from us in the mail and online and through the Leisure World Weekly and the Seal Beach Sun. Thank you all very much.